Today, we're going to walk you through the vehicle identification number and talk about it and why this is important when you're repairing cars. To give you a little bit of history here, the vehicle identification number was first used in 1954 in the United States. And from 1954 to 1981, there were no accepted standards for these numbers, so different manufacturers used different formats. In 1981, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration of the United States standardized this format, and it required all of the on-road vehicles sold to contain a 17-character VIN, which does not include the letters O, I, and Q, to avoid confusion with numbers 0, 1, and 9. So as we go and we order parts, for example, at the parts store, maybe the person asking you what these numbers are and where was the car made, what's the engine size, we can gather this information off of this vehicle identification number. So the first digit in this case is the country of origin. So the United States has 1, 4, 5, for example. 2 is Canada. I believe 3 is Mexico. J would be Japan. So if I go in and is the vehicle made in the United States or Japan, well, I would look at this first digit and then gather that information to let the parts salesman tell you, okay, that's made in Japan, J, or it's the number, it's made in Canada or the United States, for example. The second digit of the vehicle identification number is the manufacturer. In this case, we have a G, this is General Motors. If there was an F, for example, that would be Ford. Next, we look at the third digit of the VIN, and this is the make. So depending upon what the third one is, maybe that could be a 1, a Chevy, 2, a Pontiac. In this case, G for General Motors, Z as a Saturn. So then we move over to the fourth digit. This is a vehicle line. So there's actually the fourth and fifth digit that is represented for this is the vehicle a Lumina? Is it a Grand Am? Is it a Silverado? So CZ, this is Saturn View, for example, with these 2 digits here of the fourth and the fifth digit, which is additional information for that vehicle line. Next, we're going to look at the body style. Is this a 2-door? Is it a coupe? Is it a convertible? Is it a sedan? Is it a sport utility vehicle? So the 6th digit will represent the body of the vehicle. The 7th digit is pertaining to the restraint system. Does it have manual seat belts? Does it have inflatable driver and passenger restraints? In other words, airbags. Does it have side airbags? So this is information for that. The 8th VIN digit is represented to the engine size. What is the engine? Is it a 3.8 liter, a 5.7 liter? Is it a 3.0? Is it a 4.0? So most of your parts stores will probably ask you what the 8th digit is, and the first digit is quite often. The 9th digit is a random security or check digit code and keeps everything in check. And then the 10th digit is the year. So when was the car built? What year is it made? In this case, it's a 2003. representing the 3 there, and we will use alphabet ABC, for example, and now we're using numbers, and then it's going to repeat the more years we go into the late 2000s. So it's a 2003 here. And then the 11th digit is the assembly plant. Where was it made? Was it made in North Carolina? Was it made in Michigan? Was it made at the assembly plant at Dearborn or something if it was a Ford? So that's the digit which represents the 11th. And then the sequence number or the production is the 12th through the 17th digit. So this is the vehicle assembly line number, for example, as it's being made. So since this is General Motors, and you can see GM here, for example, quite often I'll call my parts salesman at the dealership and he says, give me the last 8 of the VIN. So the last 8 of the VIN starts with the year, the assembly plant, and then the production number. Their system usually will track down the right part based upon those. But if you go to an aftermarket parts place, you probably will have to give them the 8th digit, the first digit, where you're looking at different parts. So each of these numbers, letters represent the DNA of the vehicle which you're working on, for example. So this vehicle is, after going through it, is a 2003 Saturn Vue with the 3.0 liter V6. And you can gather this information off of any vehicle identification number, depending on the manufacturer. This is an example of General Motors. You could go off of Ford, Dodge. You could look at Honda, Toyota. They all have vehicle identification numbers that they use also to help you get the right parts. So I hope this helps. So then that way you can figure out where and what part that you need to fix the vehicle. The last thing is, where did I find this? Well, this is through the driver's side of the windshield. So at the very base towards the dash where the windshield is, as I look from the outside in, this number is directly through the windshield. It's got a couple of rivets here. We can also find the vehicle identification number on the driver's door or the driver's door jamb. So those 2 places are easy to find the vehicle identification number if you don't know where they're at. If you go into a parts store, some people bring their registration with them or their insurance card. Those also have the vehicle identification number. Anytime you go in for a safety or an emissions inspection that is yearly or every other year, they put your vehicle identification number into the system. So it keeps track of emissions and safety. Also, when you bring your car into the dealership, they put the vehicle identification number in to track the repairs and services that you did on your vehicle if the vehicle, for example, is under warranty. So it's a good idea to find this and understand what the vehicle identification number does.